Hi Year 11, this presentation is designed to tell you a little bit about studying history at A level. One of the first things I wanted to stress is the theme that we study in Year 12. So the whole theme, regardless of the fact that we'll be studying two different countries, is searching for rights and freedoms. So this is an interesting theme because it links so closely with current affairs, with the world today, and really brings a depth of understanding to an awful lot of the, current affairs and things that are happening in the world at the moment. So it's a really interesting theme to start with, and we continue that on into Year 13 too. In terms of generally why study history, well, there's a list of reasons on this slide which you don't need me to read to you. But I think I would say that the study of history, in terms of bringing it up to the modern day and in terms of it giving you the perspective and the knowledge to understand a lot of the current affairs and the way in which events may have occurred, is really important for understanding what's happening in the world today. I don't really believe in the theory that history repeats itself, but it certainly does help. By studying the past, it really does help us understand what happens in the world today, for sure. It also develops the skill of looking at one event or one individual from a whole range of different perspectives. Historians, by their very nature, don't really agree with each other. So very often we're looking at different interpretations of the past. So, why they have those different viewpoints and what those viewpoints might be. And that really does lend itself to developing your own personal skills in terms of understanding that, things aren't really black and white in life, and they're certainly not in history. As a subject, history is not fixed. Some people say, oh, it's the past and it's gone and it's done. And that's just not the case. History changes, and it's developing very, very fast at the moment with a whole range of new and exciting works by historians that are really making us think and challenge some of the ideas that people have held for many years. So that leads into this development of critical thinking skills. It's a fundamental part of a historian. You must be able to think critically, to analyse, to be that bit skeptical really, and to kind of consider all of the different viewpoints and all of the different possible angles when you look at a particular aspect of history. The other bullet points on the bottom of this slide about understanding cultures and people. For me, history is a study of people. It's not a study of events. I personally don't think. It's one of the reasons I love it so much. It's about people, and people are fascinating, and history is fascinating for that reason. There's a whole range of reasons why you might study history, and some of you may already think that this is for you, and you might already be interested in studying the subject for these reasons, but it's a wide-ranging subject that really, really does help you develop in a whole range of ways, both in knowledge and in skills. In terms of some aspects of history as a department and how well we perform, we've always been a popular subject. So with sixth form, we've had two A-level classes at Year 12 and 13 for many years now, which is really, really good, and sizable classes too. It brings a nice balance to the subject. It means that it opens up opportunities for debate and for some really lengthy discussion and some challenging of theories and things like that, which is really, really good. But we're very proud of the popularity of the subject for sure. Our results are good. So we have 100% pass rate, and A star to C is at 80%, and that figure. Those figures may be useful to some people, and they might like to see those figures, but possibly more important is the ALPS data measure that is currently something that many people look at and take into consideration. And as a department for the last 4 years, this data has branded history within Christleton as being either excellent or outstanding. And what that tells you is that our students do well in history. So where we might expect a student to get a grade C, we're demonstrating that we really push students, and those students are maybe coming out with a grade above and maybe getting those Bs or Bs to As or whatever level you may be working at. But we really do personalise our teaching, and we do provide a lot of mentor, a lot of one-to-one sessions to support students through history. And I think that's part of the reason why this ALPS data is so strong for us. But that really is something that's very, very impressive. We have a variety of teaching methods and learning activities. Those of you, you've all studied history at Key Stage 3 and 4, you will know how wide-ranging our activities are, and albeit a little bit limited at the moment, we do try and vary what we do as often as we can. Discussion's a fundamental part of history, and that doesn't change at A-level. In fact, it makes it easier, and it's actually a stronger part of the A-level because the classes are smaller. It gives the opportunity for more structured debate that really enables us to open up those subjects well. So thinking about how history marries with other subjects, politics, it goes very, very closely with politics, mainly for the reason that in politics you'll also study UK and American political systems, and for that reason the two kind of subjects really marry and really support each other. There's not a lot of overlap, so that works really, really well if you are considering studying both. But also, if you're thinking about going into law, history is viewed very positively by law colleges and by universities because of the way in which historians have to develop their critical analysis is really the fundamental reason for that. It also marries really well with English language and literature, as well as other languages too. And equally, it can be a nice balance to science subjects, to be fair. So if you're thinking about, going down more of a scientific route, but want something to balance that out, then maybe history is the subject for you, possibly. It's a respected subject by all of the red brick universities, and for that reason can be attractive to some people. And maybe the AS level, the 1 year, is something that may be appealing to some. I don't think that's necessarily always the right option, and we don't tend to teach to the AS level. We teach to A2, so we teach to the 2-year course. But it's possible to merge the levels of teaching within the classroom there. And you also, as a sixth form student, you also have the opportunity to participate in the Holocaust Educational Trust's Lessons from Auschwitz programme, which is an opportunity to go to Auschwitz on a very kind of whistle-stop tour. It has to be said, it's like literally 48 hours there and back. But there's a whole learning programme around that, and if that's something you're interested in, then maybe speak to one of your history teachers about that, or drop me an email. So in terms of the course content, this is what we actually learn about in Year 12. So these are the two topics. So it's 20th century America, essentially, and we teach that in themes. So you will look at a range of themes of development across that time period. So the politics of America, the presidents, the influence they had, as well as things like civil rights, living standards, the economy. So there's a whole range of different strands that we study thematically. And you will have 5 lessons of the USA topic, and that is worth 30% of your overall A-level. South Africa is also taught alongside for the other 5 lessons, and this is a shorter time period and more of a depth study, and is only worth 20% of your final A-level. And this studies apartheid, so a system of segregation. I'm sure many of you will have heard of Nelson Mandela, and maybe be aware of some of the issues that he faced and why he was jailed. And that study will look at issues surrounding that and all of the context in South Africa. In Year 13, very different subject choices, topic choices. It's rebellion and disorder under the Tudors is the Year 13 topic. So it's good because it's not just studying the Tudors in the same way that you probably will have done in the past. It's very different, focusing on the rebellions that they faced and how they dealt with them. So it's fascinating. It's taught in like little bubbles. So you look at 5 different rebellions in kind of separate little topics. And you also have a couple of broader themes that look at kind of the Tudor change over time as well. The 4th unit is a coursework unit, and we offer support with writing up an inquiry based around the outbreak of World War One. But actually the coursework option is open to change, and you can investigate an area of history that is of particular interest to you, as long as it doesn't overlap with any of the Year 12 topics. So if you wanted to study, I don't know, Napoleon or something like that, then you could come up with a question and we would support you with that, but not as much as we're able to support you with the World War One topic as it stands at the moment. So they're the actual topics that we study. If they're of interest to you, then maybe history is the subject for you. This is our team. I'm sure you know many of the people within the team. You'll be having contact, no doubt, with Mr. Kostick and Mr. Rose quite significantly as sixth form students. And you, I'm sure, will be aware of myself as leader of the department, as well as Mrs. Allen, Miss Olenek and Miss Brown as fellow history teachers as well. You will get two history teachers that will normally continue throughout year 12 and 13, the same two teachers. And one obviously teaching one side of the course, one teaching the other. And we all teach, so it could be any mixture of our team. So some things to think about in terms of what skills might be helpful. Having an inquiry mind is good, you know, questioning, asking questions, you're really thinking outside the box in terms of what the information is and, you know, what you can learn from it. An ability to write clearly and logically is very, very useful. We are an essay-based subject, so you will need to be able to structure an essay and a structured source question. So that's a fundamental part of history, I'm afraid. A willingness to voice opinions and ability to exercise judgment. This is something that comes easily to many, but those judgments need to be evidence-based, which is where the skill comes in. An interest in research and reading is also really helpful. So the more that you're willing to research and the more that you're willing to read, then it really will help you out. It'll just broaden your knowledge. It'll deepen your knowledge. It means that you will be able to write at another level. Ultimately, you will have the added context to be able to really support the learning that we do in the classroom. And an ability to recall information. Well, we'll have fun with this and we'll create lots of games and different ways of testing your ability to recall knowledge. That's a fundamental part of the way we teach, but that's something that if it needs work, we'll make sure that you have the opportunity to develop that skill. So normally we would always be planning foreign trips, and there's a list there of some of the trips that we have planned and carried out in the past. Sadly, Washington and New York, the planning for that one had to be paused, but we are hoping, fingers crossed, now with some encouraging news about vaccines, that we'll be able to maybe start looking at planning that in 2021. So yeah, that's a brilliant trip, and it's really good for both history and politics students because of the nature of what we visit and the structure of that trip in itself. So what good's history to you then? So if you have a little look at this list here, history is just such a valuable subject because of the critical analysis, because of the skills that you learn. You know, the knowledge is important, but it's not vital to these career paths, but the skills really are. You know, if you're thinking about going into something like journalism, for example, you know, critically analysing, being able to structure writing, being able to think about angles and interpretations, so vital to be able to do things like that for something like that career. And listed here is a whole range of other careers that would really, really benefit from anybody that had studied history at A-level. And my favourite quote about history, that if you don't know history, then you don't know anything. You're a leaf that doesn't know it's part of a tree. I really, really like this quote from Michael Crichton, who is a famous author, wrote things like Jurassic Park, you may know. And I think that's so true. It's a part of us. Our history is a part of us. And for that reason, it's worth studying. So I hope that you'll agree with me, and I hope you will consider applying for A-level history. If you have any questions at all, then do contact me, or pop up and see me in history, or email me on ohj@christletonhigh.co.uk, and I will answer your questions for you. I will look forward to your emails and conversations. Thank you.